Hello everyone. This is Shachi Joshi. Good evening to one and all present here. Welcome to the Mathematics 2021. Warm greetings to our Principal Dr. Shobna Vasudevan ma'am, Vice Principal Mrs. Kavita Jajo ma'am, Mathematics teachers in charge, all the respected students, all the Mathematics core team and the all team members. Very welcome to all of you to this beautiful and interesting webinar. So I know everyone is so much interested to listen to this webinar. So firstly, welcome to this interesting webinar on the mathematics and astronomy related, that is the application of mathematics in astronomy. Now I'm feeling very much proud to welcome our today's speaker, who is a student of Arya Poddar, a very good friend of mine, and the astro influencer, Mr. Archit Gokhale. Welcome, sir, to the webinar. As per every year, this year also Arya Poddar College of Commerce and Economics has come up with this interesting fest on mathematics. Though we are conducting this fest online, I am pretty sure that the fun and the learnings from the fest is going to be exactly same. Mathematics was introduced in 2013 by the Mathematics Association of Poddar. This is a pan-India level festival. The aim of this festival has always been to eradicate the stigma attached to the mathematics as a boring subject, presenting it to students in a very interesting way by conducting challenging competition and the interesting webinars. Now I request our biggest support system, our beloved Vice Principal, Mrs. Kavita Jajo ma'am, to please address the meeting. Kavita ma'am, are you there? Tejasvi, are you there? Can you please see if the ma'am is available or not?
Yes, actually she is in the meeting, but I guess she might be having some issues. Then we can go forward. If she is there, we can address her later.
Okay, thank you. So now I would like to introduce you all to today's speaker, Mr. Archit Gokhale. He's a TY BCom student of Arya Poddar College. He's pursuing chartered accountancy. He's a member of esteemed astronomy organization Akash Mitra Mandal in Kalyan. He's an astro influencer at Astroera Private Limited, Pune. He frequently writes articles about astronomy in leading newspapers like Maharashtra Times, Z Disha, etc. He also writes articles in very leading astronomy magazine like Khagol Vishwa. He has been speaker at various astronomy forums and organizations and different webinars. And last but not the least, he is a very good amateur astrophotographer and a proud student of Arya Poddar College. Welcome, Archit, to this interesting webinar. Thank you so much for taking time and being with us today. I request you to please speak few words today with our students.
Thank you so much, Shachi, for my brief introduction. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Principal Madam, Vice Principal Madam, Teacher in charge of Mathematics, Manjusha Ma'am and Suresh Sir, and the entire Mathematics team for giving me an opportunity to share my views on this subject with you. I would like to thank all my teachers for their constant support towards my hobby. I would like to specifically mention that the organizing team are my dear friends and hence they have dual responsibilities. The reason behind using the word dual responsibility is that they have the responsibility of organizing such a grand event as well as supporting and helping me for my webinar as a friend. I personally think that it is very unusual to be so formal with your friend on the official platform and then supporting the same person informally at the backstage. So they are always like, Archit, go on, webinar acha hoga, and they are continuously boosting me at the backstage and now they are formally introducing me over here. I think doing all these things for a person of same age, same qualification, same class, same division, without the sense of kind of rivalry is worthy of appreciation. They have always been very supportive for my hobby. So I'm really thankful to each and every one of you. Also, I thank all the maths and astro enthusiasts who have joined the session for being with us. We all have common liking towards maths, and hence we have gathered here for a fest related to maths, which is mathematics. So today, let us discuss about some interesting applications of maths in astronomy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archit, for your kind gesture. Moving forward, today we will take a question answer session. First, this will give you all the brief idea about what is the webinar is going to be exactly. So we'll start with the question answer session. Archit, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. So students, pay attention. We'll start with the question answer session. So you'll get the brief idea what is the webinar will be exactly. So Archit, the first question to you. What motivated you to choose this field?
Uh, okay. So, as children, all of us have heard various stories from our grandparents regarding the celestial bodies like the moon, North Star, and so on. Some of these stories also have some religious or ritualistic backgrounds. I have also grown up hearing all these stories from my grandparents. My mother, a renowned Indian classical vocalist, used to organize a musical program named Sur Nabhanganate in association with an institution named Akash Mitra Mandal in Kalyan. Sur Nabhanganate was a unique concept focusing on songs based on celestial bodies like stars and the moon. For instance, singing the song Shukra Tara Mandavara in the very presence of Venus, that is Shukra, is an experience like no other. My mother, being the main vocalist, I used to attend the rehearsals as well as the program, which proved to be the reasons of kindling a sense of curiosity in me about the subject. I can say for sure that every one of us derives joy from gazing at the sky, whether it is clear or clouded at sunrise or sunset, or when it is studded with innumerable glowing stars at the night time, or when a beautiful comet makes a beautiful descent on the sky's canvas. However, most of us limit our liking here itself because we are unaware of the fact that we can actually pursue it further and deeper. And there is no need to be recruited in NASA or ISRO or study complex and heavy scientific concepts to study astronomy. We can go beyond these notions and look at it as a joyful hobby, and which was my motive and still drives me to learn about the subject.
Okay, great. It was a great, I can say, throwback, which told us about what exactly motivated you. So your second question I would like to ask you is, how did you manage your studies and other activities?
Okay. So, as I have already said, there is no compulsion to study astronomy academically. It can be a very well hobby. On the same line, I chose my career in the commerce stream and decided to pursue astronomy as a hobby and go deep into the subject. Everyone has hobbies like singing, dancing, reading, etc.,
Right.
as a source of relaxation from routine and studies.
Hmm.
Similarly, astronomy is my source of rejuvenation. I never felt any burden of pursuing astronomy simultaneously with my studies. During academically important events like exams, astronomy takes the back seat for a while because most of the observations are done late at night and I cannot stay awake at nights during the exam periods. But I compensated for during the holidays. I would like to mention that my school and college have been very encouraging and cooperative with respect to my interest in astronomy. And I have always been able to manage academics and astronomy simultaneously, and I really hope that this will always stay the same.
Okay, great. Before moving to a next question, first I would like to welcome a mathematics teacher in charge, Mrs. Manjusha Sawant ma'am. Welcome ma'am to this interesting webinar.
Hello, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you here?
Okay, I think ma'am is listening to us. We'll move further. So next question to you, Archit, is a lot of people is confused about astronomy and astrology. So could you please differentiate in both?
Yeah, yes, sure. I think this is a very important question. A lot of people mistake astronomy for astrology. I have even had people asking me whether pursuing astronomy means that I can foretell the people's future. But in fact, these two are very different subjects. The difference starts from their very names. To make this clearer, I want to tell you that in Marathi, astrology is called as Jyotish, which involves predicting the future, whereas astronomy is Khagol Shastra, wherein Kha means the sky, Gol means a sphere, and Shastra is a science. So, astronomy is the science of the sphere of the sky. There is one similarity, both involve studying the motions of the planets, but the process of predicting the future on the basis of planetary positions is the subject matter of astrology. On the other hand, studying them through the perspective of science, or to be specific, physics, is involved in astronomy. I shall not speak on the correctness of astrology, but I personally feel that astrology is a kind of a social science because elements like authenticity and knowledge and the personal experience may vary with each astrologer because there is no fixed formula or a proved theorem in astrology. However, astronomy being a science based subject, you can prove each and everything. So, these are the basic differences between the two subjects.
Okay, so I guess all of you are pretty much corrected with the differentiation of astrology and astronomy. Let's move to the further question. So further question is, what are the career opportunities in this field of astronomy?
There are a lot of career opportunities in astronomy, though we are unaware of it. We know that ISRO has been launching various satellites at a rapid
Right.
rate.
Right.
So there is high demand for mechanical engineers, astrophysicists, space technology engineers, and like in astronomy.
Hmm.
In our country, various institutions like IUCA, ISRO, Physical Research Laboratory, and many other institutions are excellent for the career growth. There are also agencies abroad like the European Space Agency, China Space Agency, and we all know NASA. So there are very good career opportunities for astronomy in several countries like China, Australia, Europe, and America. However, I shall add that not everyone chooses to pursue astronomy as a career. So I want to mention on this platform that though you may not take astronomy as a career, there are so many things which we can explore and learn about you. I shall elaborate further today itself if the time permits, and if not today, I shall surely have a discussion with you all about this soon.
Okay, great. So next question to you is, do you think astronomy should be a part of our syllabus in schools? Like right now, bookkeeping is also introduced to our school students.
Okay, so it is my personal opinion that astronomy should be introduced and included in the academic curriculum, just like the bookkeeping. I think the purpose behind introducing the subject of bookkeeping must be that students were totally unaware about this subject in their school days,
Right.
so they need to have an idea about what commerce is and whether they want to choose it as a career.
Okay.
Similarly, school going children have no idea about astronomy or how interesting the subject is. You must have heard this joke amongst our classmates that they have chose commerce just because they had no liking or inclination towards science.
Right.
Jokes apart, but the science that is taught in school has no mention of astronomy anywhere. We learn few astronomical concepts in geography, but they are not taught in a way that makes us realize how interesting they are. Not all astronomical phenomena have significance like daily life.
Hmm.
However, some very basic things we encounter in our day-to-day life, like the time of high and low tides or the
Hmm.
different seasons, their reasons are all hidden in astronomy. So, if such phenomena which are very easy to observe and graphs are included in the syllabus, the students shall certainly like the subject, and we as
Right.
a country shall become very advanced in astronomy. So, this is my wish and vision.
Okay, great. I think because of such influencers, astronomy is going to be soon added in a school syllabus, and the interested students will really be very happy to get it in the syllabus. And the last question to you, Archit, for today is how would you guide the attendees for getting into astronomy or exploring this as a career or area?
Okay. So, this is a very important question again. As I mentioned previously, there
Hmm.
is no need to have a career in astronomy.
Hmm.
Even amateurs can accomplish significant things. Our attendees today are mostly school and college students, most of whom have chosen commerce. So I wish to tell you all that this stream is really beneficial for amateurs. I shall share an apt example. In the past, there was a myth that there is a planet named Vulcan between the Sun and the Mercury.
Hmm.
So right now we all know that there is no planet between the Sun and the Mercury. But
Right.
few years ago, the scientists were trying to search for a planet named Vulcan between the Sun and the Mercury.
Hmm. Hmm.
So scientists were competing to be the first to discover this planet. Amongst them was an amateur astronomer who
Hmm.
was not associated with any institution like NASA or something like that. I mean to say that he was not a professional astronomer or a
Okay.
professional scientist. He was just an amateur person.
Right.
He started observing the sun. After decades, scientists confirmed that there is no planet like Vulcan, but the dark spots on the surface of the sun, called
Hmm.
as sunspots, which are of great astronomical importance to
Hmm.
both the sun and the earth, were discovered by this amateur, and he owns the credits today. I would like to briefly mention one more thing. There is an organization named International Meteor Organization where you can observe and submit the meteor
Hmm.
showers. So
Hmm.
meteor showers are basically the we say shooting star or tutta tara, and it is commonly
Okay.
called.
Right.
Uh, the proper scientific name to it is meteor showers,
Okay.
and there is no professional qualification wise precondition to submit a meteor shower or become the member of the above mentioned organization. People of any age can report their observations, and the
Okay.
interesting part is you don't even need any equipment, telescopes or expensive cameras for the same. What you need is basic astronomical knowledge and
Hmm.
interest in the subject. There are These are the only two prerequisites which can take you far enough to get fame at an international level. So there are many things that can be achieved even at an amateur level. There are a lot of things that can be done.
Hmm.
However, due to time constraints, I won't be able to explain them all right now. So I talked about the two most interesting things I could recollect at the moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you want any further information about astronomy, we shall surely discuss the same after this webinar. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. So initially, I think the webinar is going to be more and more interesting, and I hope the entire session will be also very much interesting. That as I am not much aware about astronomy, but I am getting more interest now after listening to your answers. So students just now have asked him different questions from my side, but you will also get the chance to ask him your doubts and your questions. At the end of the webinar, we are going to take question and answer session through chat box so that you can ask your doubts and your question to sir, and sir will surely answer to that.
Just a
Uh,
minute. I would like to mention it that I will be asking few questions to the audience. Don't worry at all. The questions will not be difficult. There will be some interesting questions, and I will direct the audience to give the answers so that the interaction will help the audience develop interest in the session. So I request everyone present here to try to answer to those questions in the chat box, and I will surely address to each and every one of them. Thank you.
Okay, sir's initiative is to make this webinar interactive. So I hope just now I am saying that the chat box is flooded with the messages that the webinar is so interesting. Sir is giving the information that is very much informative. So I hope you will answer sir's question too. So now I would request Archit sir to continue with the webinar. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Shachi. I will
Yes.
just start my presentation. I will share my screen. Okay, so I think just a minute. Uh, is my screen visible?
Yes, perfectly. You
Okay.
can go ahead.
So our topic of discussion today is application of mathematics in astronomy. As we all know that maths has application in almost every subject. Be it science or commerce, maths is always significant. Similarly, maths has importance in astronomy. Mathematics is also used in launching the satellites. If we try to list down all the applications of maths in astronomy, then a series of 100 such webinars would be required. There is lot of maths involved in astronomy, but considering the today's discussion, I have divided it in two halves. The first half will be interesting astronomy experiments which all of us can perform in our day-to-day life, and all these experiments do not require any equipment. All that they need is curiosity and knowledge of some basic concepts in astronomy. And the second half will be about some advanced applications of maths in astronomy, but will not discuss about them in detail. I will just introduce them to you. So for today's session, let us start with some basic concepts, which the understanding of which will be very important in performing the experiments. So I will start with the basic concepts. So let us start with the basic concepts. As we all know that the earth is a sphere. Similarly, the sky around the earth is also spherical in shape. We will take example with a help of an astronomy software named Stellarium to understand the concept. At the software provides very attractive graphics to us. So I will just share my screen. Is the software visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So we are right now observing from Mumbai. I have set the location. If you can see here in the bottom corner, left corner, the location is set to Mumbai. So if anyone is observing from some other place, please make the necessary location changes or there will be some error. So imagine that we are standing here on the earth in an open field and observing the sky. We can see that the sky appears to be dome shaped, right? So I'm just standing here on an open field and we can surely see that the sky is appearing like a dome shape, isn't it? So similarly, if we consider the other portion or the other half of the sky, which is below our horizon, or we can say which is below our feet, then we get a complete sphere, right? So this sphere of the sky is called as celestial sphere. The concept is very simple. We know that it is a completely a sphere, and the something which is related to sky is generally called as celestial. So we say celestial objects, celestial bodies. Similarly, this is the celestial sphere. Also, so this is our first concept. So celestial sphere, it is an imaginary sphere of which the observer is the center, obviously. So we are at the center of the sphere and we are observing the sky around us, so we are at the center, right? So it is our first concept. Then the next concept I'm speaking is of the celestial equator. But for that, I request you to mention something. Are you aware of a line or a horizontal imaginary line on the surface of the earth which divides the earth into two equal halves? If anyone is aware of it, I would like to uh, please let me know in the chat box. Okay, so yes, so many people are, yes, you all are right. So I'm talking about the equator. Similarly, if we, so equator, you all know that equator is imaginary line on the surface of the earth, right, on the globe of the earth. And if we try to extend that equator in the sky, we are keeping on stretching it and extending it to the sky, then we will definitely get, at some point it will definitely intersect with the sky, right? So celestial equator is nothing but the projection of Earth's equator into the space. And the two-dimensional diagram will make it more clear. So here you can see that this is the, is my screen visible? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So just I request everyone to just follow my laser pointer so that you get the concepts very quickly. So as we discussed just now, so this is the sphere of the earth and this is the equator, which you all gave the answer very appropriately. And if we just stretch it and expand it, then it will get intersected with the sphere of the sky, which is the celestial sphere, and this is called as celestial equator. So now we are clear about the two things. The first is celestial sphere, the second is celestial equator. So let us proceed further. Okay. So proceeding further, let us understand what is right ascension and declination. For understanding this, let us first understand the address of the earth. To find a place, what we all use, can you let me know in the chat box? कुछ अगर कोई जगह ढूंढनी है तो किसका इस्तेमाल करते हो? On the phone? Yeah, map is okay, but uh, yes, GPS. Okay, yes, I was speaking about the technical thing. So it is GPS. Yes, right, GPS. So is anyone aware कि GPS क्या यूज करता है? What does GPS make use of to locate the exact place? Do you know? Satellite. No, no. Be more specific. Okay, I will give you some hint. So the answer is connected to the equator, not with any satellite or something in the space. The answer is connected to equator. Direct, yeah, now I am getting the correct answers. It is latitudes and longitudes, right, latitudes and longitudes, correct. So as we all know that the GPS uses latitudes of and longitudes to locate a place. So 19° north and 72° east is Mumbai. So to find the address, the GPS does it accordingly ki 19° north, if we go to the place called something called as 19° north and 72° east, then it has to be Mumbai, right? Because Mumbai cannot shift its place somewhere कि आज Mumbai is at 19° and कल वो 25° पे चला गया. So there is nothing like that. Mumbai stays where it is, right? So I'm talking about latitudes and longitudes. Similarly, the lines which we can draw. So latitudes and longitudes are nothing but imaginary lines on the surface of the earth to know or to locate the exact position at any place located on the earth. Similarly, if we consider some imaginary lines drawn on the celestial sphere, then those lines are called as right ascension and declination. The vertical lines which are on the surface. Okay, so please let me know what the vertical lines are called as. Are they called as latitudes or longitudes? The vertical ones. Okay, so okay. So let me explain. So the vertical lines on the surface of the earth are called as longitudes and the horizontal lines are called as latitudes. So similarly, right ascension are the vertical lines on the celestial sphere and declination are the horizontal lines on the celestial sphere. And as latitudes and longitudes are used to locate a place on the earth, Similarly, right ascension and declination are used to locate a specific star or planet on the celestial sphere. And as we use latitudes and longitudes on the surface of the earth with the help of GPS and something like that, similarly we have lot of sky maps which use the concepts of right ascension and declination to locate a particular star anywhere, located anywhere in the sky. So let us proceed further. I will just show you a diagram. So these are latitudes, the horizontal lines, and the vertical lines are longitudes. Similarly, ये सेम डायग्राम है पहले स्लाइड जैसा. So this is the earth and this is the sphere of the sky, which is called as celestial sphere. So the lines on the celestial sphere are called as right ascension and declination. The vertical lines are called as right ascension, horizontal lines are called as declination. So you can clearly see here, like 0 degree, 20 degree, 40 degree, 60 degree, and so on. So it is the declination of the star. Now let us proceed further. Okay, so let us understand what the path of the sun is. So does anyone know what the path of the sun might be? Okay, so everyone knows that Earth revolves around the sun, right? But as seen from Earth's perspective, we notice that the sun is moving across the sky, right? We are not uh, like the thing is relative. From the space perspective, we see that the Earth is revolving around the sun. But if we are standing on the Earth and then observing the sun, then we feel like sun is rising in the east and setting in the west and so on. So it appears that the sun is moving its position across the sky. So similarly, so that, and we can observe this phenomenon. If we really want to observe this phenomenon, I will suggest that go on your terrace or something, some near open field, open space, mountains, anywhere, and observe the sunsets for 2 to 3 months, and you will get to know what I exactly mean here. I will just so right now practically we can't go and check for 3 months at at a single time right now. So I'm just using the software to show you what I mean. Okay, so I will just change the timings. Okay, so right now we can see that the sun is rising at a particular point. Okay, so you know that this point, ये कुछ भी point है वहाँ से sunrise हुआ, and the date is 20th August, that is today. And now I'm just changing the months. You just look at the position of the sun at the same time. Okay, so at September it shifted here, then at October it shifted here. And just remember or take a note that I'm not changing the time. It is 6:54 a.m. only. I'm just shifting the month. So September, August, then I will go further, July, June. So this is the apparent path of the sun across the sky. So I am just I have just written what we have discussed here. So we all know that the earth revolves around the sun, but as seen from earth's point of view, the sun appears to move. और वो कैसे move होता है हम लोग ने अभी just देखा. So this apparent path of the sun is called as ecliptic, and this ecliptic is tilted with respect to the celestial equator. Celestial equator भी क्या होता है हम लोग ने देखा. So it is tilted with respect to the celestial equator at an angle of 23.5 degree. So 23.5 degree is what? Can someone tell me what is 23.5 here specifically? Is so I will give you hint. It is related to the earth and its rotation. So 23, what is the significance of this figure 23.5? And I think I have mentioned it on the slide itself, but okay, can someone speak something in the chat box about it? Earth revolves around itself in 24 hours. Earth revolves around 30. Okay. Yeah, someone has. Yeah, yes. Now I'm getting the correct answers. It is axial tilt, or the tilt of the Earth's axis. So you all are. I think you all are already aware of some basic concepts in astronomy. That is very nice. Yes, it is the no. The precision is something different. I will talk about it later. The correct answer is axial tilt. Yes. So this is what expected was the expected answer. So the ecliptic is tilted with the respect to celestial equator because of the axial tilt of the earth, and that's why the angle between the ecliptic and celestial equator is exactly 23.5 degrees and nothing, some not some any other figure. So this is the basic reason. So let us proceed further. Okay, so I'm just taking this photograph, and as we discussed earlier, this is the celestial sphere, the black circle. The green circle is the earth, and the this one is the celestial equator, as we have already discussed. And now we can see here is the ecliptic, and ecliptic means the path of the sun, right? So we can see that there is some angle, and that angle will be 23.5 degrees. So now you specifically know what I mean by ecliptic is tilted with respect to the celestial equator. So this is the celestial equator, this is the ecliptic, and it is tilted with respect to each other. The angle is 23.5 degrees. And okay, so this is the similar diagram, but it explains some important concepts, so I have mentioned it. So have you heard about the longest and shortest day? Anyone? I would like you to mention in the chat box what is the date of the longest day in India. Try karo. What is the longest day? What date? Yeah, okay, June 21, correct. So June 21, can you spot June 21 here in the picture? Yes. So the reason behind it is very simple. When the, as we can see that this is the celestial equator, and map ka rule to we all know that upper side is generally north and the downward side is south. Similarly, this is kind of map, so we will consider the upper side is north and the lower side is south. So we can see that on June 21st the sun is at the highest northern point in its orbit, right? Sun is at highest northern point in the orbit, and that's why it takes more time for the sun to set. It rises in the east, and then it stays in the sky for the longer time and then sets in the west on this particular day, and that's why it is the longest day in India. Similarly, we can check the opposite day, which is 22nd December, exactly 6 months apart from the first one. So we can clearly see that the sun is at the southernmost point, right? It is downward. Now after this point it will again go upwards. So it is the southernmost point in the sky, and that's why it takes the sun less time to set. It rises in the east, stays for less time in the sky, and sets quickly, and that's why it is the shortest day in India. And so I want you to answer that ये जो दो days है, so which is 23rd September and 21st March. So what will be the significance of these 2 days? Can someone mention it in the chat box? We saw, yeah, okay, so I am getting the correct answers and I'm very happy to see it. So there, so it will be a equal day and equal nights. Yes, absolutely. We can clearly see that at this point of, at this particular position of the sun in its orbit, it is it is intersecting the celestial equator. That means sun is exactly on the celestial equator, and as a result the days and the nights will exactly be of equal length, which is 12 hours each. And the answer is also hidden in the very definition of this concept. It is called autumnal equinox. And equinox, nox means something related to night, and equi means equal. So equinox means equal nights and obviously equal days. So it is something called as equinox, which is of equal day and equal night, which is 12 hours exactly. And this is basically the path of the sun. And let us understand why we are speaking of this while performing the experiment. It plays very much important role. So I will, for the time being, I will proceed further. Sorry. Okay. So right now, okay. So let us get back to the declination. So as we saw that declination are the horizontal lines. So celestial equator, then there we can draw a line at this particular point. Just follow my laser pointer. Then we can draw somewhere at here, somewhere here down at horizontal lines, right? So to speak in very simple language, we can say that declination measures the distance of a celestial object away from the equator or the celestial equator, right? So let us consider that some object is over here. Just follow my laser pointer. So वो इक्वेटर और द सेलेस्टियल इक्वेटर से कितना दूर है और व्हाट इज द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द ऑब्जेक्ट एंड सेलेस्टियल equator is measured by the declination. So this is not the scientific definition of declination, but to express it in a simple language or to just understand the concept, I am using this term. So this is the difference between, or the distance between celestial equator and the object. Similarly, if you can check here, the sun is constantly changing its declination. At this particular point, it is some degrees away from the celestial equator. Then it comes nearer, nearer, and at one fine moment, it intersects the equator. And then again, it goes away, and in the northern hemisphere. So, can someone tell me what will be the declination of celestial equator in degrees? Okay, so 0, 5, 10, 15, 30. Can someone answer? What will be the declination of celestial equator? Okay, I will, yeah, 0 degrees. Correct. So just, I will repeat it quickly. Declination can be explained as distance away from the celestial equator. So celestial equator itself will be 0, right? So exactly, the declination of celestial equator is always 0 degrees. And then what will be the declination of the sun when it is at the vernal equinox? My one more question. Yeah, obviously it has to be 0 degrees, because we can see that the sun is exactly on the celestial equator at these 2 points. So the declination of the sun has to be 0 degrees. Okay, so this is the concept. And and we all discussed this summer solstice, longest day, and so on. So I will just proceed with an interesting concept which is called as zero shadow day. And zero shadow day is very interesting and very simple to understand. As the name suggests, zero shadow day means shadow zeroes down and we are not able to see the shadow. Simple. Okay, so when the declination of the sun is less than the latitude of the place of observation, then sun is towards the south of the zenith point. Okay, so I just request everyone to pay attention, because this is getting a bit advanced. I will always use the software also for the better understanding, but just pay attention. So as we all know, and we have already discussed, that sun changes its declination. So at some point of time it is 0, then it is 10, it is 20, it is 23.5, then it again comes back to the equator, then again 0, then it goes to the south, and so on, right? And as we discussed while discussing right ascension, the latitude of Mumbai is 19 degree north. So when the sun is on 0 at 0 degree declination, 0 degree, then it has to be somewhere towards the south of Mumbai, right? Mumbai is somewhere above 19 degree north, and then sun is at 0 degree. So it is below Mumbai, and below it is generally considered as south. So it is towards the south of the Mumbai. And let us understand what we can actually observe uh, related to this concept. So I will tell you what the zenith point is. I will just shift back to the software. So zenith point is exact overhead point. When we say that overhead point, it has to be one single point and not the entire overhead sky. And I will just show you this. Okay, so we are standing over here vertically. Then वैसे देखा जाए तो ओवरहेड पूरा स्काई है, बट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट वन सिंगल पॉइंट and that one single point, which is this point exactly, it is called as zenith point. And the point which is just exactly below our feet, it's called as nadir. So we are not interested in nadir right now. We are just interested in this special point which is called as zenith point. So just remember what zenith point is. And when the declination of the sun is zero, that is sun is towards the south of the Mumbai, so as seen from Mumbai sky, the sun will appear towards the south direction of this particular point. And so let us just quickly simulate it in the software. So on 21st March, the sun, the declination of the sun is zero, and we have discussed it few minutes back. So I'm just setting the time to 21st March, and then we can just check the position of the sun. Okay, so sun is here at, and the zenith point is at this point. Okay, so we will just verify whether it is towards the south or not. Okay, so where is south? Okay, so this is the south direction, right? So when we check, yeah, the sun is towards the south of the zenith point. Yeah, are you getting? Okay, so I will just I'm just checking the chat box. I will explain, or I will speak about which software I am using right now. Please look at the concepts. So it is, this direction is south, and sun is towards the south of this zenith point. Similarly, if we go further, we will just shift the, okay, so on, let's say 16th of May, we have zero shadow day in Mumbai. So I will just show you what the zero shadow day exactly is. So on 16th May every year, the declination of the sun is exactly 19 degrees, which is exactly equal to the latitude of Mumbai. So if we can just, I will just shift to the presentation. So we see we already saw that when the declination of the sun is less than the latitude, the sun is towards the south. When it obviously opposite jayenge, so when it is more towards, more than the latitude, the sun will obviously be towards the north. We are just taking the opposite words. When the declination is less, sun is at the south. Uska exactly opposite, when declination is more, sun is in the north. And when the declination of sun is exactly equal to the latitude of the place, that's why I'm using the example. On 16th May every year, the declination of the sun is exactly 19 degrees, 19, and so is the latitude of Mumbai. So as seen from Mumbai's point of view, or in the Mumbai sky, the sun will exactly be at this overhead point, and we can check or verify it in the software, right? And at this particular day, zero shadow day occurs. The reason is very simple. The sun is exactly overhead, so the sun rays fall exactly perpendicular to the ground, and the shadow of that particular object falls under the, that particular object itself. So the basic rule of falling a shadow is, shadow always falls towards the direction which is opposite to the source of light. So if I'm putting some light from here, then shadow will not fall on the same side. It has to fall on the opposite side. Correct. Similarly, when I will just show you this. So when the sun is at this particular point, that is towards the south. Okay, so N is north, S is south, obviously. So when the sun is, and this point or the Z point is the zenith point, we can check. So when the sun is towards the south of the zenith point, so to say it is towards the right, then shadow will definitely fall towards the left. When sun is exactly overhead, so it is to, so to say it is exactly up, so the shadow will fall exactly down, and ground के मतलब ground के नीचे जाएगा, so we will not be able to see it, and that's why it is called as zero shadow day. And again, when the sun is towards the north, that so to say it is towards the left, the shadow will fall towards the right. To make this concept interesting, I will show you animation which I have created on my own, so that you all will definitely enjoy it. So just have a look. Please, can someone confirm that is the animation visible?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will just pause it. You can just check when the sun was at this particular point, then the shadow was in the opposite direction, and it is some random day, vernal equinox day, as we have discussed. Now we will see what happens on zero shadow day. Okay, so yes, at this particular point, you can check that shadow jo tha, it it got smaller, 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 and at one point moment, it completely disappeared. The sun is exactly up and the shadow is exactly down, and due to the ground, we cannot see the shadow, and that's what is called as zero shadow day. We are discussing all these concepts for a reason, by the way. We will just look at the importance of these concepts while performing the experiments. And again, this is a random day. So the sun is in the left, the shadow is falling in the right, and so on. Okay, so this is the animation. I hope the concept is more clear because of the animation. I will get back to the presentation. Okay, so we just saw this. The sun is up, the shadow is downwards, and this is the ground, so we cannot see the shadow, which is underground, so to say. Okay, so now let us discuss the basic concepts which we all will require to perform the experiments. So, okay, so the first concept is right angle triangle concept, which is trigonometry ratios. Okay, so no need to remember all the ratios, sine, cos, tan, and whatever. We just require, or we are just concerned with the tan or the tangent ratio for the time being. So I have just mentioned it what the tan is. So to find the, so if we know tan angle, then it is opposite side upon adjacent side. And if we want to find the angle itself, then we have to inverse it. So it is tan inverse of the same ratio. Okay, so then the second thing is vertically opposite angles are congruent. Then alternate angles जो Z shape करते हैं, and we have learnt it in our school days. So the school students must be familiar with it right now. So these are the concepts. Angular measure of a circle, which is obviously 360 degrees, and parallel lines concept. Okay, so now let us start with the experiments. Are you interested? हेलो, बोलो यार चैट बॉक्स में. Okay, okay. So now let us start with the experiments. The first experiment is finding the latitude of our place. So we can definitely find it out with the help of GPS, but let us imagine that we are trekking in some mountain and we are lost. And now we are not aware what our location is. And I have personally experienced in some dense forests or dense mountain ranges, the GPS fails sometimes. So it is always better to have, not to rely on the phone or gadget or something related to technology, because GPS may fail. So we need to rely on something which is very easily available to us. So we will find the latitude of our place just with the help of one stick, nothing else, and obviously some concepts. अभी तक जो कुछ decide किया, we will apply it here and we will find the latitude of our place. Okay, so this experiment can be performed on any day, but it requires the adjustment of the declination of the sun. And this experiment is very much easy to perform on 22nd March and 23rd September. The reason is very simple. The declination is 0 degree. So minus 0 plus 0 doesn't matter, right? So we don't need to adjust the declination of the sun. So I request everyone to you do perform this experiment. It is very much interesting, and try to perform it on 22nd March and 23rd September. If it is a Sunday, then it is the cherry on the top. We have holiday, so we can definitely perform it. Okay, so I will just tell you what the procedure is. Take a vertical object. So I'm just, for example, taking a brick or a stick and place it vertically on the ground. So in this diagram, the brown color is representing the brick, and I have placed it vertically on the ground. Then we will definitely have some shadow falling. So let the bluish rectangle is the shadow. So this is the sun in the sky. The diagram is obviously not to the scale, so just understand the concept. So this is the sun, this is the brick, and as a result of the sun's rays falling, there is some shadow. So we just have to measure the length of the brick itself and the length of the shadow, and with the help of these two things, with the help of the knowledge of our maths and astronomy, we can find the latitude of our place of observation. So the reason or the science behind it is very simple. The yellow line is showing you the zenith point. The position of the sun is somewhere here, so it is away from the zenith point. So the distance or the angle that separates the two things, so the zenith and the sun, so the position of the sun away from the zenith point will obviously give you your latitude. So we technically need to find this angle B, but we cannot measure some imaginary angle in the sky. So we are taking the example of this brick. So brick का length पता है, we have calculated or measured the length of this particular shadow. Then it is very simple. We the green line or the imaginary hypotenuse is constructed, and we get a perfect right angle triangle. And then with the help of tangent, we can definitely find angle A, and angle A will definitely be equal to angle B, so that we can find the latitude of our place. So the value of angle A in degrees will be the latitude of our place. So I what we have discussed, I have just written it in the slides. And okay, so I will share with you my personal experience. So I performed the same experiment from Mulund on 27th September 2015. So yes, I got delayed by 4 days. The exact time suitable is 23rd September, as we discussed. And at 12:29 p.m., I could spot the shortest shadow of the brick, and the distance between the shortest shadow and the brick. So that means the length of the shadow was 11.9 centimeter, and the height of brick was 29.6 centimeter. And then uh, just by doing the tan inverse calculation, I got the answer 21. And it is not on the 23rd September, right? I got it delayed by 4 days, so I had to subtract the declination of the sun on that day. So which was 1.24 degrees. So 21 minus 1.24, I got it approximately at 19 degree 45 minutes. And the actual value of Mulund is 19 degree 10 minutes. So it is definitely a negligible deviation. So we can reach up to such perfection just with the help of stick. So I request everyone to perform this experiment, and it is very interesting. For the time being, let us go to the next experiment. So the next experiment is finding the circumference of the earth. So this experiment was carried on by Eratosthenes, which was a Greek astronomer, and this experiment he carried it 2500 years ago, around 240 BC. But at today's times also we can definitely perform this experiment. So the concept behind this experiment is sun rays are parallel. So just exclude this text. I am just showing you the diagram. So the concept is sun rays are always parallel. The sun rays which falls on the earth are always parallel. So that's why I mentioned the parallel line concept in the mathematics concepts. So the sun rays are parallel. he observed, the Eratosthenes observed that on same day at same time, there at a city called at A, there is no shadow, and we can see in the diagram that sun rays are falling exactly parallel to the object. So sun is exactly up and the shadow will exactly be down, so there is no shadow. And at the same time, on the same day, at a city away from this A, let us consider city B, a pole is placed, and on the same day the sunlight is casting some shadow, so the BC distance jo bhi hai, that will be shadow, some length of the shadow. And using this simple technique, Eratosthenes found out the circumference of the entire earth. So the concept is really very simple. So at some point there is no shadow, and at the same time at some point there is shadow. So the angle CDB will be definitely equal to angle BOA, right? And if we closely observe, angle BOA is a small arc of the entire circumference of the earth. So BOA जो एंगल रहेगा, and the entire angular measure of circle is 360 degree. So the answer, the formula is really very simple. So the formula to calculate the circumference of the earth will be angle BOA, जो भी measure आएगा, upon 360 degrees, which is the exact circumference or the angular circumference of the earth, equal to the distance between these two cities A and B. So to say in a simple manner, and these two cities are so much degrees apart from each other, right? City A is here, city B is here. So वो एक दूसरे से कितने दूर है? So it is definitely they are angle BOA दूर from each other or angle BOA apart from each other. So the formula is angle upon 360 is equal to the distance between these two cities in kilometers upon the circumference of the earth. And so we will, how to measure this particular angle we discussed in the previous experiment. It is same, it is the break, it is the shadow, and then it forms a right angular triangle. So by using tan inverse you can find this angle, and the results are again amazing. Okay, so I will share my personal experience. Zero shadow day. Okay, so I performed this experiment on 26th May this year only. So zero shadow day was at Surat. I was measuring the shadow from Mumbai. The time of observation was 12:35 p.m. local noon time. We will discuss what the local noon time is. Length of the object is 36 centimeter, and the length of the shadow was 1.3. So using tan inverse, I got angle 2 point something something. Then I found out the distance, straight line distance between Surat and Mumbai, which is 233 kilometers. And I found the circumference as 40,558 kilometer, and actual circumference is 40,075. So with the help of such only a stick, I could get the accuracy of 98.81%, which is really uh, very much accurate. So you can definitely perform such interesting experiments, and it is purely maths, right? It is not, I'm not involving any kind of telescope or something like that. So it is definitely maths. And then I will speak about the next experiment to find the local noon time. uh, okay. Okay, so yeah, okay, sure. I will conclude it faster now. So to find the local noon time, when we say that local noon time is exactly at 12 p.m., this is not the case. The local noon time shifts as per your location. So we generally use Indian Standard Time, which is uh, so everyone in India uses the Indian Standard Time. So the Indian Standard Time is local time at Allahabad. And why it is local time at Allahabad itself? Because of the location of Allahabad. The Allahabad is at the center of the India. So we take the local noon time of Allahabad as the local standard Indian Standard Time. So when we say local noon time is at 12 p.m., it is 12 p.m. at Allahabad and not in Mumbai. So just to calculate your local noon time in Mumbai, you can follow these steps. So the simple step is longitude of, I'm just taking example of Thane. So longitude of Thane is 73 east. Standard longitude or the longitude of standard time Allahabad is 82.5. So the difference between these two is something 9.5, which is multiplied by 4, which gives you 38. And you have to just add that time in the local noon time, the standard local noon time. So 12 plus 38. So at Thane or Mumbai, the local noon time will be 12:38 p.m. And you get the value of your longitude through GPS, or you can directly search your place longitude on the internet, and you can do the maths, right? It is very simple. It is just a small subtraction and small multiplication. So all these experiments and all these things don't require any kind of equipments. It is just basic knowledge of the concepts of maths and astronomy. And okay, so equation of time needs to be adjusted. I will not go into detail because it is an advanced concept. But to make this presentation technically accurate, I am just mentioning कि बाबा ध्यान में रखो, there is something called as equation of time as well. For the time being, I will just go through. And some other applications of mathematics in astronomy are parallax. So the basic explanation is when, okay, so we are observing this particular cluster from the earth, and when observed in August, we can see that this particular cluster is on the foreground of these particular stars. And as the earth is traveling in its orbit, in the month of February we can check that the cluster is seen in the background of some other stars. So this is the difference, and that is called as parallax angle. And this is the most interesting concept of astronomy. These things are, or the mathematics is used to know the distance between the earth and this particular cluster. So this is the parallax angle. So I will just mention the mathematical concepts involved. So it is angle measurement. So you have to measure the parallax angle in the same way जो पहले discuss किया. Then the other concept is obtuse angle triangle. So if you carefully measure, then this particular line, this particular line and this particular line makes an obtuse angle triangle. So these concepts are a bit advanced, so I'm not going into detail, just to introduce that mathematics is also used in parallax. Then the next thing is orbital elements of planets, which is the Kepler's law of motion. So orbit of an planet is an ellipse. So we have to check the properties of ellipse, that is area of ellipse and so on. I will just and it is very much important in determining the orbital period of the planet, that कितना time लगता है for an planet to complete its circle or its revolution around the sun. That can be, and it is purely mathematics again. So it involves properties of ellipse, some concepts related to area and proportionality. Then the third point is ecliptic limits. So we all had discussed we about eclipse, right, and the path of the sun. So we all know what is eclipse. So does eclipse occurs at every full moon or new moon? No. So it occurs on some days. So there has to be, the moon and the sun has to be in some limits in their orbit for an eclipse to occur. So you can just quickly go through the diagram. So this is the latitude limit. So अगर you can just check here, इधर इससे बाहर अगर moon गया तो the two will not come overlap each other and there will be no eclipse. Eclipse is basically overlapping of the sun and the moon. So if moon is somewhere here, then it is not overlapping. So this is the limit, right? And again we can check that it forms a right angle triangle. So again the same concepts are involved: right angle triangle, trigonometry, angle measurement, to know the ecliptic limits. And the last point of today's discussion is eclipse obscuration and magnitude. So magnitude is the diameter which is obscured. So we can clearly see here that the gray circle is the moon, yellow circle is the sun. So at the solar eclipse, moon is sun is getting blocked by the moon, right? So moon comes on the surface of the sun. So the diameter of the sun, this is the diameter of the sun, and the red part is covered by the moon. So it is basically the diameter of the sun which is covered by the moon. That is called as eclipse magnitude. And then this is called as eclipse obscuration, which is related to the area. So moon is covering this particular area of the sun. So again, the concepts are really very simple: area of segment of circle, area of circle, because these things are circular, so we need area of circle, segment, diameter of circle, radius, fractions, and such simple maths concepts to study or to get some information about really important and advanced astronomical concepts. Also, there is adjustment mathematics concepts like least common multiple, greatest common divisor, LCM, GCD, that are also used on a very large scale in adjustments of lunisolar calendars and synodic and sidereal months. And I know because of the shortage of time, I cannot explain each and everything in great detail right now, but you can definitely, I have just introduced you to the topics, and we can definitely speak in great detail if anyone wants to connect to me. Okay, so I would just like to thank Akash Mitra Mandal, my astronomy organization. Then the Stellarium, which is the software I am using for everything. Okay, my sincere thanks to my college, my principal and vice principal ma'am, teacher in charge of mathematics and mathematics team. Okay, thank you very much. I just want to speak for a minute. I have just introduced you to different subjects right now, but if anyone wants to speak in great detail, or you want to connect with me for discussing anything related to astronomy, you can definitely connect with me on my email, which is uh, mentioned on the screen, arcastronomy@gmail.com, or my astrophotography, the one, the picture of the moon which you can see in my background. I have clicked that picture. So if anyone is interested in astrophotography, or to, if you want to view more such pics, you can definitely visit my page. We will definitely discuss in great detail about many such concepts. I will end my talk here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Archit. It was an indeed experience for all of us. Am I visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes, Sachin.
Just a minute. Huh?
Yeah. Till then, I would request our admin HOD, Ninath Kulkarni, to post that feedback form in the chat box, and all the participants, you are requested to fill that feedback form and let us know how did you find the webinar.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Archit, for your great time and the excellent PPT, the software which you showed to all the students. And yes, I'm speechless just now after listening to the entire webinar. Being a good friend of him, today I'm feeling so much proud to see you on this platform, and listening to you and watching you as a today's guest speaker for our mathematics webinar. Now I would like to request all the participants, if they have any doubts, fatafat we can take your doubts and you can put it on the chat box and sir will answer accordingly. As we are running short with the time, I request please put up your questions little faster so that we can end up the session. Yes, you can put your doubts in the chat box.
Collectively, many of them had a doubt of what software you were using, Archit. So please
Okay,
clear that.
so I was using a software which is called as Stellarium. It is free for desktop or laptop. It is not, it is paid for the mobile apps. It is available for Android as well as iPhone users. So but it is paid. But if you want to use it in the for free, you can definitely download it on your laptop or the desktop. You can just search Stellarium, Stellarium on the Google. The very first link is of the software, and you have the download option there. You can just download it and start using it.
Okay. Any questions? Students, your doubts regarding events will be solved before the event. You can ask the respected admins or committee you are talking. Don't ask that doubt in this session.
Okay, so everyone who is asking how the satellites are located and some questions which are not directly related to the topic, I request them to connect to me after the webinar, because it will be a vague or time consuming to explain it here. So please connect to me, or I will explain it to you later.
Okay, so I think
Everyone for the comments and attending this session. Thank you.
okay. Thank you so much, Archit, for your great webinar. Now I would request our Vice Chairperson Gauri Rege to give vote of thanks so that we can end up our session.
First of all, I would like to thank our chairperson, Demanshu Saudari, who isn't able to attend the webinar for some reason. Also, our teacher in charge, Sir Suresh sir, even he wasn't able to attend the session for some reason. So I will be presenting the vote of thanks. So good evening, everyone. This is Gauri Rege, VCP of Mathematics 2021. And I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Archit Gokhale, for enlightening us with his knowledge. I would also like to extend my thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. Mrs. Shobna Vasudevan ma'am, Vice Principal Kavita Jaju ma'am, and our mathematics HOD, Mrs. Manjusha Sawant, for the guidance and support to conduct this webinar. Today's webinar was full of amazing knowledge and interesting experiments. It gave a deep insight into the applications of mathematics in astronomy and also revealed some interesting facts. The experiments mentioned here are like super easy to do, and each and every one of us. And I'm pretty sure the precious knowledge that Archit gave us will definitely help us in our future. Thank you everyone for your time and patience. And I would like to request all the participants to leave the meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you, Gauri. Participants, you can leave the meet. The webinar is over. Thank you so much for your attendance.
And do check the feedback form in the chat box.
Yes, yes.